start off with, you want to peel and stick your stick and stitch pattern in your chosen arrangement onto your garment. And we're going to use chain stitch for the main body of the balloon. So bring the yarn up through the fabric. I hold it slightly to one side, bring the needle through the same hole and a stitch length ahead, and that yarn should just hook over the needle. So needle through the same hole, a stitch length ahead, bring it up, and if you're holding the yarn to the side like this, it should naturally loop around the needle. Now I'm following the lines of the hot air balloon, and we're going to do the outer edge of each segment to begin with, and then we're going to go back and fill the individual segments. And as I come to the end of each of the vertical lines, so just continuing my chain stitch, what I'm going to do with this last stitch as I get to the top is a single little anchor stitch to hold the yarn in place. So it's almost just like I've completed one individual line of chain stitch, and this little anchor stitch is going to stop the yarn folding over as I turn around and go in the opposite direction. And then bringing the needle back through the center of the last loop of the chain, just like this. And then I'm going to continue down the other outside line of that inner segment on the hot air balloon. Again, holding that yarn to the one side, always stitching away from me. So needle through the hot yarn to the side, needle through the same hole, bring it up a stitch length ahead, loop the yarn over. And one thing that you want to make sure of is don't pull the yarn too tight. That can lead to the air balloon kind of bunching and bubbling slightly in the middle. And then I'm just going along the bottom of the balloon, and again finishing that line with one individual stitch, which will just anchor that last line in place. And then I bring the needle through and I start another line of chain stitch as close to that first line as possible. You don't want to see any of the stick and stitch coming through. And if you just always make sure that you're holding the yarn to the side with your thumb, it will just naturally hook over just like that. Now here I'm coming to the end of the piece of yarn I was using. I'm just running out, so I'm just going to do a single stitch to anchor that last chain in place, and then you start the new piece of yarn coming up through the middle of that stitch. You'll have the two ends next to each other like that you can tie off together, and then you just continue stitching that chain along the same line as you were before. going from the outside in until the whole shape has been filled. So I've just got one final line here down the centre of the balloon, and then pop the needle through and the shape is filled. Then you can tie off any pieces of yarn that are next to each other. I just do a triple knot to ensure that they don't come loose, and cut off any excess. And then any individual strands, I'm just going to weave them through. So I tend to do this 5 or 6 times, weaving it through the inside of the stitch, just that's coming through the garment, just like so. And then you can cut off the remnant yarn. Now in starting your next colour, you're going to do exactly the same as before, leaving a little tail of yarn. And again, we're going to work on the outside line of the next segment. So you're just going to use chain stitch to follow the line on your stick and stitch template. And again, just like you did with that first segment in dark blue, once you come to the end of the line, doing a single stitch just to finish it off, like so, and then I'm bringing the needle back through the middle of the last stitch and just continuing the chain in the opposite direction. Now by doing this little individual stitch, it's ensuring that the yarn is kept in place and it won't fold over onto itself, so it will all be flat to the fabric. And you're going to do exactly the same again, using your third colour for the balloon. So again, working on that outside line to start with, you're going to fill the outside of the shape and then work your way in using chain stitch. the inside of the garment and weaving the strands of yarn to bring them closer together, and then just tying them off in a knot. So we'll tie off in a knot where the pieces are close together. If not, we'll just weave them through some of the stitches on the inside of the garment and cut off the excess. For the bottom of the balloon, I'm choosing to do this in the same light blue as the outside of the balloon. I'm just doing 2 individual straight stitches as close as they can be together. So I brought the needle up through the right and down through the left, just like that. You don't want to pull them too tight because it will lead to the fabric bunching. Then again, weave the end of the yarn through the stitches to bring it back to that first piece of yarn, and you'll just tie and cut off the excess. Now for the basket, you're going to bring the yarn up through the bottom, leaving a little tail as always. You're going to do individual straight stitches following the line on your template. So you're going to bring the needle through the bottom, following the line, pop the needle through the top. You don't want to pull it too tight because you want enough space to weave the yarn through in the opposite direction. So you're just going to continue going from left to right until the whole basket has been filled. And then one final stitch. And then you're going to bring the needle just slightly beneath where that last stitch went through, and you're going to weave the yarn over and under that first layer of yarn, just to create this lovely basket-like effect. Once you've done that first row, you're just going to pop the needle through the fabric to secure it, and then bring the needle up through the fabric, one row down, and again you're just going to go over and under, but ensure that you're doing opposite to the previous line. So if one line you go over first, the next time you're going to go under the piece of yarn first. And then one final line, so bringing that yarn through, and I've gone over, then under, over, then under. And you can see it's the opposite to what I was doing on the previous row. There's space for a couple more, and you'll pop the needle through the fabric to secure that last row, and then you can tie off the start and the end of yarn. And then I'm just going to take the white yarn and do some individual straight stitches to finish off the balloon. So I've done one there, and then I'm going to come from left to right at the top of the basket. Just pull the yarn just enough so it's lying flat to the fabric. Don't pull too much because we don't want to cause the fabric to bunch at all. So I've got space for three individual stitches, and then one more just for the other little piece of rope connecting the basket and the balloon. Now for the clouds, we're going to do a series of French knots, but I'm leaving the tail of yarn on the front of the fabric, and then I'm bringing the needle back up through the cloud. This is just to stop that tail of yarn getting tangled. And then for the French knots, what we're going to do is bring the needle up through the fabric, hold the yarn in your non-needle hand, wrap the yarn around the needle twice, wrapping away from you, and then poke the needle through the fabric. So again, up through the fabric, wrap the yarn around twice away from you, and then pop the needle back through the fabric. So you're just going to create a series of lots of little individual knots, trying to bring the needle as close to one of the previous knots as you can, just so none of the fabric is showing through. Here I'm doing my last knot before I run out of yarn. So I'm just pulling the needle through, unthreading the needle, and you've got that little tail of yarn there. And then rethread with a new piece of yarn. You'll have two little tails next to one another. And you can just tie those off straight away and cut off the excess. That just stops the tails of yarn tangling as you're doing lots of the individual knots. And then you can continue as you were before, and you're just going to keep doing this until the whole shape is filled. So space for a few more here. Wrap it round twice, poke the needle through, and then one final one. Of the fabric, and then you can weave the tail of yarn through the inside of those little knots, and then tie off the two pieces together as you've been doing previously. Now for the sun, we're going to do chain stitch just the same as we did with the balloon. So hold the yarn to the side, needle up and through, and hook the yarn over. And just as we did with the balloon, we're going to follow the outer edge of the sun. So just creating a little circle, and then you're going to work your way from the outside to the centre. And then when you come to the end of that first ring, I just poked the needle through to secure the ring, And then I'm doing another ring of chain stitch inside that first one, trying to ensure that the two lines are as close together as possible. You just keep going until the whole shape is filled. So I keep turning the fabric so I'm always stitching away from myself. So pull the needle through, and then we're poking the needle through the fabric. Just like that. And then you're going to bring the needle up to the start of one of the little rays, and then an individual stitch to the end. Then bring the needle up through the end and down to connect it to the sun. And then bring the needle just next to that at the start of the ray and then through the end. You just keep doing these individual straight stitches, following each of the lines on your template until the sun is complete. We're going to do back stitch. So using a thinner yarn, I've used normal DK weights here. We're going to do one individual stitch, and then you're going to bring the needle up a stitch length ahead and bring the needle back down through the fabric where the end of the last stitch was. So bring the needle up a stitch length ahead and then bring it back down, touching the end of the last stitch. And you continue this along the whole line on the template for the bunting. You're going to do 3 individual straight stitches for the little flags. So bring the needle up through the top and then down through the little point at the tip of the flag, and then bring the needle up the same place on the other side, and again down through that little tip at the bottom. And then you're just going to do 1 individual straight stitch to fill the inside of the flag. wash off your transfer paper and you're done.